Today is technically Friday, February 24th, 2017, and today we got to talk about a movie called Get Out. Now, this is kind of a different thing for me, a different setting and everything to talk about a movie, but I definitely want to talk about this movie because it has a lot of political and racial undertones, at least from the, reception it's gotten from people online, some of the media, people that have been reviewing it. And before we go any further, I will not do any spoilers. I said before I saw the movie, if I did not enjoy it, I would do a spoiler review. If I did enjoy it, I would do a spoiler-free review. So you already know pretty much what side of the coin I'm on. I thought it was a great movie. I give it a 10 just from my initial reaction. Not looking into it, comparing it to other movies and stuff like that. Because a lot of times, before we get into the meat of the actual movie, which will be spoiler-free, by the way, a lot of people talk about movies and they say, well, how was that a 10, but this one wasn't? It's not really a good thing, in my opinion, to compare pieces of art to other pieces of art to validate them some kind of way. I think each piece should be judged on its own merit. And this movie was much more than what I was expecting. I was expecting more of an anti-white kind of movie. I did not expect something to be so deep and so enthralling throughout the entire piece. It wasn't that kind of movie where you just are going through your phone or you want to kind of trail off and think about other things. You want to really be attentive to see what's going on, because it was more of a suspense kind of movie. It had suspense, it had horror, and it had, oddly enough, some comedy, as it was written by Jordan Peele of Key and Peele fame. Now, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but that's pretty much how this conversation will be, because it won't be any spoilers. I'll just discuss my feelings about the movie and other ancillary things. Now, Jordan Peele, Key and Peele I don't really find funny. I think that they make comedy that's mostly for people that grew up like them, kind of like suburban, grew up around a lot of white people. That's what I kind of feel their comedy is. Ain't nothing wrong with that. That's fine, but I just can't really relate to it personally because that was not my experience. But from watching the little bit of comedy of them that I have seen, that's pretty much the feeling that I got from it. I did not get that feeling from Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle, I felt like, had more organic kind of comedy that, especially if you were black, you were able to really understand, but you did not have to be of any kind of background to really get it. It was not necessarily niche comedy. I mean, seeing R. Kelly pee on TV in a comedy form was hilarious. Seeing Rick James grind his feet into Eddie Murphy's couch was hilarious, regardless of what color you are. But I feel like Key and Peele, their comedy was kind of like Seinfeld-y, but not really. It was more niche than Dave Chappelle, but I digress. Getting back to the movie, it had some comedy in it, and the comedy was really funny. I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised. It was not what I thought. I thought that the comedy, because I did hear there would be some comedy in it, I thought the comedy would be kind of corny, kind of like Key and Peele, from what I've seen of them on Comedy Central, but it was not like that. It was pretty funny, and it comes at times when you don't expect it. But it did not kill the flow of the movie. The movie, the main thing I can say about the movie is that it flowed like water all throughout. It kept you engaged. It had satisfying moments. It's like playing a video game where you constantly building towards like a peak point or a boss or something like that, and you finally beat it. It's like, wow, that was very satisfying. That is the kind of feeling you get when you get to certain points in the movie. And I'm being intentionally vague because I want you to go see it and experience it for yourself. I really want you to go experience it. If you've seen the trailer, you can kind of figure out what's going on, but at the same time, you don't know. The trailer does not really tell you what's going on. And that adds to it because you go into it, like, if you like me, I'm the kind of guy that always thinks he knows more than the other guy. I think that I know more than you. I'm trying to figure you out. As soon as I meet you, I'm sizing you up. If I'm watching any kind of TV show, anything scripted, anything that can potentially be predicted, I try to predict it all the time. My mind is just constantly going like that. It's like a clock. I'm trying to figure out, what makes everything tick. I'm trying to see what's really going on. And that added to the suspense. It played on my own feeling of intellectual superiority. And it also played on the fact that I'm black. And I could kind of relate to a lot of what was going on in the movie. And I did not think I would feel that. Some movies do that to you, like Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels. If you watch those movies and if you're black, by having the black experience, so to speak, you'll feel them in a different kind of way. And that's what I like about art. As we go back to the art talk, you said I got art behind me. It really, that means a lot to me. The piece I got, this is my house. This is where I live at. No, these are not these are not leopard skin pillows or nothing like that. These are just regular pillows. But the piece behind me, that means a lot to me because I'm all about the earth. I'm all about, the planet, studying maps. I can name pretty much every country on that map, even though it has no lines on it. It means a lot to me personally. That's why I got it. And this movie and other movies that kind of relate to the Black experience mean a lot to me because I personally have found myself in situations where the characters or the main character in this movie was at. Right. Oh, by the way, the main character, his name is Chris, and the love interest you see in the actual trailers is a woman named Rose. And of course, as you could tell by the trailer, they go to visit her parents in kind of like the countryside, and things just don't go right. That's all I'll tell you. Shout out to Andre Black Nerd. Hey, you did a great job on your spoiler-free reaction. So I saw yours before I did mine. I didn't want to copy you, but I definitely wanted to include that piece where you said the name and you didn't want to give him any more. That was a great touch. It was really great. And by seeing that, it enabled me to go in there with not much ammunition, not really being armed and not really knowing what to think. And I think that's very important. If you go into it with a preconceived notion, I think the movie will change it for you. It has some predictable points, but at the same time, you really didn't know what was going to happen. Like I said before, by watching the trailer, you feel like, hey, I got it all figured out. I know exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. I know everything, but you really don't. You really, really don't. And then once you see what's really going on and you see how things unfold, it's like, I don't want to say it shocks you, but it does. It's like, oh, wow. I can't even really explain the feeling. But the main thing I say about it is that it kept you enthralled throughout the movie. It was funny. It was a long movie. I think it was about 2 hours. Or probably about two, right around 2, a little less than 2 hours. And I went in there about 7:00 and I was out a little bit before 9, probably about 8:50 or something like that. So it was a pretty long movie by, I guess, movie standards, but it did not feel like it was that long. The first part of the movie kind of was a little slow, but I think it was building. It was building and it was making you think certain things. It made you try to figure out what was going on. It puts you in a state of mind where you like, okay, I wonder where they're going with this. What's going to happen? Why is he there? Who are these people? What's happening? You trying to figure out what's going on the whole time. And then as it gets revealed, it's much different than what you were thinking. I'm going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Many people said that they think this movie is going to be anti-white. I said that myself on Twitter. I said that it was getting high scores because it's anti-white, but I was wrong. I'm a man. I'm not going to be afraid to admit when I'm wrong. I'll say when I'm wrong. The movie was not what you're thinking. It was not what you're thinking. And if you're a conservative like me, I think you'll actually appreciate the movie for what it was. And that's pretty much all I'll say about that. You can read into it any kind of way you want. The racial element of it is obvious, but it's not as shallow as you're thinking, and there's much more to it. And I'll leave it at that. You'll be satisfied with what they did with the movie. Now, I will say some people that may be just kind of low IQ, some that are just angry in general, they'll take the movie and misinterpret it. But those kind of people will misinterpret everything. They'll misinterpret President's Day. They'll misinterpret Columbus Day. They misinterpret everything to fit their own narrative because that's how they felt. This movie won't make them feel one way or the other any different than what they felt before. And that's just the reality of it. It won't add to any kind of racial tension because those individuals that are out there engaging in racial tension are going to do that anyway. And I will say this, that it was nowhere near anything like MTV. No. This was an actual movie with depth. The MTV stuff was more like just pontificating about personal feelings, but this was an actual movie. It was a piece of art. See, the MTV stuff was like a documentary, kind of like, YouTube videos for the most part. Now, I'm not trying to, be mean against myself or my other fellow creators on YouTube, but for the most part, YouTube videos are not that in depth. It's not that in depth. We're just kind of giving our opinion. We try to be entertaining sometimes. Now, some people really get in depth with their YouTube videos, but for the most part, it ain't like a full feature length film that took time to write, produce with a whole big staff and everything else. This movie is pretty deep. You gotta like see the surroundings, see how things are framed. You know, when they're in the house, when they're in other places, just look around and see things. Just observe. And that observation is what I was trying to do. Like I said, I was trying to figure it out. It's like, you know what? I got all the answers. I know everything. So I'm trying to figure it out by observing things. But all it did was just make me kind of more confused and more curious. And it built towards the suspense. My heart was beating like a drum, you know, and I don't get scared at movies, honestly. I don't get scared at movies at all. Horror movies do not scare me. Like I said, I'm trying to figure it out and see where the jump scare is going to come. I'm trying to see what's the plot twist going to be. I'm thinking more mechanical. Scary movies are not scary to me. I've not been scared by a movie since I was a little boy when It came out. And I know everybody that was my age, I probably was like 8, 9 years old when I saw that. If you were that age and you saw that movie, it'll scar you for life. It'll scar you for life. I saw Clowns one time. I was walking home from school. On another tangent here, I'm walking home from school one day. This is when I was in college, so just frame it that way. I was like 19, 20 years old. I'm walking home. My dad at the time lived right down the street from the school. This is art school. And this is like in the artsy kind of area. So I'm walking home, and then on the right-hand side, it's an art gallery with a big open set of windows. And you can see straight through the whole building. Now, for some reason, these people were working on a clown exhibit. I don't know what they were doing. Had a bunch of clowns in there. Like, I don't know if they were ceramic, if they were made of wood or plastic or whatever, but it was like a million clowns in the window, like an army of clowns. You talking about somebody feeling like they're about to die, about to hyperventilate because of the movie It. That was the last one that really scared me. I've not been scared of a movie since. I'm like desensitized, but this one, I won't say I was scared, but I was really just kind of on the edge of my seat. I was nervous. Heart was beating. I was nervous. And that's something that doesn't really happen to me in movies. And also, it had an emotional part of it. Like I said, if you're a black person, this movie will hit you in a different kind of way than if you're white, in my humble opinion. Because, like I said, certain situations in the movie that you see, you won't really grasp all the way if you have not had the black experience, which is a real thing. I'm not trying to be racist, but the black experience is a real thing. And I'll leave it at that. So hopefully I did not spoil the movie for you at all. But I gave you enough information to say that you definitely should go watch it. Go check it out. Don't be triggered at the racial overtones of it. Don't get triggered. Don't be like the left, being all upset. Just go watch it. Don't be scared. Don't be triggered. Just go watch it. Check it out. If you ain't doing nothing over the weekend, I definitely recommend it. I give it a 10. Even though I'm not even the kind of guy that likes doing number grades, I got to give it a 10. And I say I was definitely wrong about the Rotten Tomatoes critics. But I was reading some of the reviews as I close here. The reason why I said that is because I was reading some of the reviews and they said this is a deeply flawed movie, but I still give it a perfect score. I was like, what? And to me, it didn't make any sense. If it's deeply flawed, then why does it get a perfect score? I thought they were grading it more because of what the subject matter is. And that could be the case. Some people will grade it in a positive way because it deals with race in the movie. But in reality, race is not the central part of the movie. There's much more to it than that. There's a lot of twists and turns that you won't see coming. You'll try to figure it out, but you won't see it. Maybe some of y'all that are just movie buffs or you're super high IQ, you'll figure it out. But I think I'm a pretty high IQ person myself, and I enjoy movies and I enjoy trying to deconstruct things. I usually can determine where a plot's going to go, where a jump scare is going to be. I can determine all of that most of the time, but this time I was stumped. And the emotional part of it really kind of took me for a loop. And I think that is the only kind of spoiler I'll give is that it has an emotional part. But you got to go watch it to see what it is. So that's pretty much all I got to say for my reaction spoiler-free review. If you want me to do a spoiler review or more videos like this, please let me know in the comments below. And if you've seen the movie, do not spoil it in the comments. Just let me know what you think about the movie in a general sense in the box, or let me know on Twitter. Go to my website, anthonyblogan.com. You can send me an email, whatever it is, but just don't spoil it. Let everybody enjoy it. And like I say, if you want me to do a spoiler review, let me know in the box. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.